Through the last couple of years, Katana's seen a massive expansion through the market, so we're really happy that we've placed Katana into 18 countries, 27 cities, and that, fun fact, the smallest studio using Katana has 9 artists, and it's in Jakarta, Indonesia. So if anyone ever tells you that it's a tool meant for the largest studios only, I will respectfully debate that. But the other stat that flew by there, the 300 shots by one artist in one season is a repeating pattern. We had another client that told us about doing 120 shots by one artist through one project file on a movie that they worked on. We had Worldwide Effects at FMX this year talking about having artists submitting 40 shots per day for final through Katana, with about 20 to 30 of those actually getting an approval. So it's really a tool that is out there to help you all and basically make sure you're doing the most creative work and have the best quality of life. I'm not going to play this video for you, but if you guys haven't seen our interview with Masa, please check it out. It resonates with the theme of why we're doing what we do, which is we're creating the tools that we want to make sure you guys can use to do your best work and get home, see your families, see your friends, spend time in the pub, whatever it is that you would like to do. Just because you chose to work in the visual effects and animation business doesn't mean you should have to work 12 hours a day if you don't have to. Katana is also growing because of groups like CG Masters Academy that have come on board and brought this into their education curriculum. So Nick, are you in the room? Nope, he was presenting for us earlier. But Nick from CG Masters Academy has kindly started a program based on Katana with 3 to Light, and they're actually teaching it based on our Theater platform. So we're really excited about how all those things start to come together. And the reason why he told me that he started teaching Katana was that his students came out and worked at existing studios within the market, and were always coming back to him saying, hey, you really got to teach this. So it was really great to see that this sort of cycle has continued. What I'm really here to tell you about is all the work that we're doing. So Katana 3.2 just went into beta this morning and will release at the end of August. So we're super excited about that. The real big theme of Katana 3.2 is the network materials. The network material system in Katana from day one has been incredibly powerful, but the UI wasn't up to the sort of modern standards that everyone had come to expect. It did well for the time that we had it there, but what we've done is gone through, created a new UI framework that allows us to say, okay, we are going to give you a network material group. This will become network material create in the final ship version. Inside of this network material create, you will have an individual shading context for the material that you want to create. You'll be able to use a tab menu to pick from all the available shading operators that you would like to be able to use. You will be able to then toggle between any different renderers that you use. Katana supports a render agnostic workflow, so if your pipeline is one that has multiple renderers, you can work within Katana very easily. Choose a new renderer, and then again, the tab menu will then reflect those new rendering settings. The shading nodes have multiple collapsible states, which is mirroring the work that the Mari team have done. And what we've made special care to implement is that the UX between Mari and Katana around hotkeys and the behaviors of these things is going to be mapped so that you don't have to have 2 sets of muscle memory if you're a look dev artist working between the 2 packages, because we sit 20 feet from each other in the office, and it's what we should do. All right. The nodes can actually be filtered, which is really cool. There's some really fantastic shading nodes out there amongst the various rendering plugins that have a variety of possible connections. So you can actually input a pattern into the top and then filter down to what you need, which makes it a lot easier to find the connection that you want to. We've added a system into the network material create that allows you to then have the controls that you want available to an artist. So those of you who don't know, the Katana shading system can package up, like a gizmo, each individual material. So you can create a very complex 200, 300 node shading network, thousands if you so choose. But what you can do is then say, you know what? These are the 5 nodes with the 3 controls that we want to have exposed for everybody else. So a senior artist can make a material and then share that around, confident that the show-wide consistency is going to remain. We've also added the ability to put in the logical controls for the network material interface into its own tab. So we've just taken a lot of what was a sort of a scatter of nodes formerly in Katana 3.1 and before, and collapsed it into a very tidy package that can be shared around your projects. We've created shading groups. So you now have the ability to create very artist-friendly little shading groups or shading gizmos. So you can come inside these and you have basically a surface to connect to on the left and the right-hand side for inputs and outputs. And you can actually create your own custom interface for the shading node to appear. This is a system that we're looking to expand to actually control the overall network material interface in future updates. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We also have shading node array connectors, switches, variable switches and such, backdrops. So all the things that you know and love. And then most importantly, those of you who have worked with Katana in the past will know that the unfortunate scenario before 3.2 was that if you were to use some of the tools and look at the shading network after you created it in a pipeline sense, that you would lose the topology that you might have spent time working out color schemes and layouts. So we put in place to work with Katana 3.2. So all that work is going to be preserved and pushed through the pipeline. So if you have one of those monster 200-300 node networks and you do create a topology language in terms of what backdrops contain which type of materials or subsets of materials or channels, it will all be remembered. And then in a subsequent release, we're going to be updating with a new network material edit, which will take that place. Katana is a tool that doesn't stand alone. From the rendering plugins to the render farm, the asset management, the I/O plugins, Katana is not alone without having other tools that need to interface to it. The ecosystem around Katana is very important to us. And with that, we are beginning our work on the USD plugins, making them render agnostic and available as binary downloads with future updates of Katana. And that comes with it all the benefits that you'll see in a couple minutes. These are going to be released in addition to being shipped as binary. We will have an open source GitHub repo so that you guys can bring it in-house, tweak as you need, and then make pull requests for additional features. So Katana, we brought on board a relationship with the 3Delight team because we had a mutual drive that we wanted to create a new level of user experience, bring Katana to a whole new set of users, and that relationship has continued. They started off with really exciting things like the multi-light or light mixing, and beyond the very nice AOV management that they have in 3Delight Display, some of the innovations that they brought to us were things like the light mixing. So being able to find the highlight that you want or the light that you want to interact with by picking its highlight and seeing the light values adjusting inside of Katana. This kind of UX was a new thing for commercial Katana. They've taken that one step farther. Agilis has kind of shown you a bit of that. But I think there's something not to be missed with the multi-camera rendering. So this is pretty phenomenal for both shot production and for stereo and for look development. What I'm doing here is I have a simple instant city scene running on my work laptop. And what I'm able to do is have multiple camera viewpoints. I'm able to adjust the lighting to any individual viewpoint, but in this case I'm adjusting to all the viewpoints at once. If I were to move the cameras around, I would see only that individual camera update. It's these kind of artist-facing workflows that we are looking for all developers to bring to the table, but we're very happy that this is embedded within Katana and being shared with students and industry-wide. And another little footnote, just to echo what Agilis had said about the cloud. This is a little test. I happen to be on a flight between London and Stockholm to go see some clients. And lo and behold, the plane had 5 pounds in-flight Wi-Fi for the duration of the flight, minus the little clause about the parts that black out over certain seas and things like that. But I was row 21, 21,000 feet, and rendering to 3D cloud, getting hundreds and at times thousands of cores feeding back the render. Caveat being I had already previously synced the scene, so obviously I didn't have to do the upload because it was great download, not so great upload. But I think it was pretty phenomenal that I was able to actually do cloud rendering from the cloud, meta cloud. But I think it's this kind of innovation that I'm really excited about seeing sweeping through the industry from 3D and others. We continue to work our working relationships with the other renderer vendors. I encourage you to go to the RenderMan Art and Science Fair and see the work that the guys have done with RenderMan 22, the Mari shader, and the workflows that they're supporting there. So all the work continues on from these companies as our mutual clients adopt. And then an interesting, kind of not by coincidence, scenario was that we also did some work on a shotgun plugin for Katana. One of the repeat things that we were always hearing from clients was that everybody was reinventing the wheel, having to do things again and again, and that's not the scenario we want to put you guys in. So we took it upon ourselves to actually work with Autodesk. They were great collaborators on this, and we have now had the open source framework in place to provide everybody the shotgun toolkit that we have made sure works with Katana 3.1 and later and the latest shotgun. So this will be later published as an open source project, available for everybody. It's currently in testing with some clients. And if you are not currently using Katana, but you do want to use Katana, but shotgun's part of your pipeline, we got you covered. And surprise, we are going to next be making a Houdini engine plugin for Katana. So our mutual clients that use both our tools have said that this is really important to them to be able to support the speed through their pipeline. And so we will begin this work after SIGGRAPH. All right, so let's climb into the DeLorean and take a look at what might come a bit later, maybe a 6-month to 1-year time frame. Not making promises, but we're going to try our best to get this stuff as fast as possible. So I spoke about the network material edit and the network material create. So this is our little design mock-up of the network material create. But the network material edit, the real thing is when you go in, you add new nodes or you edit existing nodes of a network, it's going to look exactly like the one you left behind or someone else created. So you can, like I said, as a facility, create a topology, create a language to the layouts of your shading nodes so that as a team, you can function faster and create better work. And then we've also started experimenting with other possibilities. So not guaranteed to make it into the package, but the work that the guys put into putting in this new UI framework allows us to do some pretty awesome things with the new shading nodes. So if you have a long shading node, you want to basically keep the max height and the max width of your nodes, but you still have to be able to access the ports, possibly. This might be a way to work it. If you had the node and be able to drag it to the top or the bottom to see it automatically scroll like you see with many common UIs. So a lot of those things are what we can bring to Katana now with the shading architecture. Last year, we spoke about a lot of the performance work that's going on. So this was a scene where we were working on the measurement of time to first pixel. One of our team, Stefan, summed this up beautifully. It's really 2.5 down to the ideal scenario on 3.1 has gone from 13 minutes down to 13 seconds. So that's sort of about a 2-year time frame of development. The guys have been working really hard to find all the parts of Katana that would possibly slow things down. We're really excited about this part. And clients are giving us feedback about how well this has helped them out when they've moved from the 2.5, 2.6 line into the 3 series. But we're not done yet. The team are working hard on even more multi-threading or multi-threading through the interface. So bear with me. We're looking at Katana 3.5, a preview alpha on the top. We're looking at Katana, I do believe we are 3.1 v3 on the bottom. And this is a section of the Moana Island scene data set that we're using for the testing now. So we've updated what we're pulling from. But this is really about, as Agili said, time to first pixel. How long do you as an artist have to wait? And I'm sorry for those of you that like coffee and like smoke breaks, we are trying to shorten those. So that was 23 seconds time to first pixel on the Moana Island scene with Arnold 5. Down here, this is, well, we don't have time to wait for it. Let's just say it's measured in minutes. When the work is done, we'll publish proper statistics on what machine, with what kind of scenario, how did it go. While it's all work and fluctuation, it's not fair to comment on how good it could get, but everyone's very positive and working towards the best result. Okay, another area that we're adding into Katana is instance management. So we've heard from clients that they have large city scenes, they have large sets come in. Really, it's about how does the shot artist deal with those instances when they're in there. So this is a preview of a Modo-esque like workflow using a volume to then interact with point clouds. We have something in Modo called the fall-offs. It's a great system. But ideally, something like that would work in a way where if you had a live render running, you could start doing things, and like you can see on the far right side there, that I'm adjusting the percentage of instances and it's live updating within Katana. You can use that sphere to start cutting out sections. You can pick different pieces to promote them to hero assets. There's a lot of work that we're experimenting with in order to find what are the gaps in our workflow. All right, we don't want to sort of just say, hey, here's a whole bunch of things, what do you think? We really do want to get it to that 80% level so you guys can tell us what are the 20% tweaks that will make it even more valuable. And so here we've got the half dome that is then culling out the parts in the background. And again, live updating, which is awesome. All right, this is the part that gets me really excited. The team are all fired up about working on this. Katana is a tool where you can kind of stare into the matrix. You can have access to any ever little detail you need. You want to know what the world space position is of a point on a model, we can tell you. But that's not necessarily the best interface for a lighting artist. So what we're working towards is a mixed ray tracing and GL viewport that is based on gesture, being able to pull from a toolbar a type of light you want to add, clicking on the surface, being able to make gestures to move that light around, have the handles available to it, and then also having heads-up displays for the various controls that you don't have access to without having to make a deep dive. Putting all the work in front of you. This has been inspired by the Nuke Roto workflow, where you can take the viewer full screen and you still have all the tools around you, and then the Modo channel hall system in Modo, where you can actually click a channel and you hit C and a little pop-up like one of these will come up and you can work with. So as a group, we are trying to sort of not reinvent the wheel when one of our teams has got the right answer. And here you go, guys. You are the first people outside of a very select few that see this. This is actually the Modo viewport technology that we call Modo AVP inside of Katana. So this is a future tech that we'll be able to ship as a new GL engine to Katana. It provides full image-based lighting, screen space reflections, the whole sort of 9 yards, the full PBR suite, along with progressive anti-aliasing. So if you need to work on something at 6x6 or 9x9, but it chugs the interactivity, you can now set it to that, and it will get there eventually once you've stopped moving your mouse around. So we're really happy about that. But the implication that I want to make sure everybody's clear about is that it means that a tool like Mari could be used to actually define what your assets are going to look like in the Katana viewport. So the fidelity that you're going to be able to have as a GL when you want it to, and again, this is the whole point of being able to opt in, make the smart choices as an artist that you want, so you're not having everything thrown at you. And that's going to be quite important. The team on the Modo side has done things like incorporating better response to things like area light, reflections, and then this goes back to Modo 12 even. This was a comparison done by Thomas Chung that shows Modo GL on the left, Modo ray tracing on the right. So in terms of that half of the equation that is GL, we're quite happy that what we're going to have is quite interesting. All right, we're laying the UX groundwork for also having rendering directly into the viewport. So again, we're all in on this idea of giving you the experience that has you lighting and rendering and interacting with your image. So we have this little prototype with the monitor front buffer that allows you to actually have your rendering drawn directly to the viewer. This is early prototype, so sort of squint over the glitches. But what this implies, though, is that once we have a fast path to get those renders into the viewport, you'll have what you want to see as ray traced as an option, everything else is a GL fallback, and then you'll be able to probably toggle off the textures on the things you don't want to see them on, so that you, as an artist, can really pick and choose how you interact with things to the highest efficiency that gets your job done. Because there's going to be some cases where if you're doing volumes and other things, you don't have an actual physical representation to choose how to view it or interact with it in the viewport. So this idea of mixing in the ray tracing is really powerful. Katana 3.2 is using USD 1905. So that lays the foundation for using everything as a Hydra render delegate. This is the Hydra NSI project from the 3delight team. Once we update to a more modern or up-to-date USD, 1905 is the safe version for us. We looked at 1907. We weren't ready to push it out, but once we are at 1907 or higher, you'll have access to the RenderMan render delegate in addition to others as well. So whether it's through the render delegate system, whether it's through our APIs, you will be given the option to have the best interaction with your lighting and your look dev as you're working through it. And thank you, that's my time.